Hey, so I'm gonna show you how to set up and configure the Rev Alerts. Okay, so first thing you want to do is you want to copy the file that I sent you. Okay, so you want to copy that file, and what you want to do is you want to go to File, go to Open Data folder, go into your experts folder and paste in this file. Okay, you gotta paste in this file over here. Once you paste it, close this. Then you're going to right click on the blank space. Actually, if this is closed, assuming it's closed, you're gonna click here, this folder here. Okay, you're going to right click on this blank space here, and then what you're going to do is click, okay, so click refresh here so that you can see the file that you just added, and it will be called the Automator version 1.2 or whatever version it's on at this time of you watching this video. Okay, all right, so this is licensed to work on only your MT4. So at the top left corner, you're going to see your MT4 account number. It'll only work on your MT4 terminal. If you put it on another MT4, it's not going to work unless I have created a license for that MT4. Okay, all right, so you have your chart up. I'm assuming you have your chart up with the Rev Alerts on it. All right, so I'm assuming that you've gone all the way to this far where you have the Rev Alerts on your chart. All you're going to do is drag and drop the automator. So for example, see this cell here? If you wanted it to enter this cell automatically, once you set up the automator, then it'll start doing that. So to turn this on, all you gotta do is you can have the chart open. You can either double click on it like this, or you can drag it. So you click it, you hold your mouse down, drag and drop it. Okay, so I think the easiest is to have the chart open, then just double click on it like this. Okay, so this will bring you to the automator settings. All right, so once you have the settings here, I'm going to explain each of these settings to you. Okay, so maximum active order at a time basically means that the number of maximum orders that you can have at a time. So if it's 20, that means if you have 20 orders open and there's a signal for the 21st order, it's not going to open it. It won't take any more orders after 20 orders. If one order closes and it goes to 19 orders open, then if it gets a signal, it'll take that order. So that's the max number of active open orders. Magic number, you can leave it alone. You don't need to worry about that. Work on both. So this one means both buy and sell. If there was a situation where you saw price, the candles drop really far down and you were anticipating a buy signal, then you could flip this to just buys only. Okay, but if you're just looking to trade both buy and sell, then you can just leave this to both. All right, use X candles pending then delete. This set to true means that at 30 candles, which is the default, okay, just means that if you have pending orders open, so for example here, these two yellow lines here, let's say that you have pending orders open on them, you know, so that if price goes back here, it triggers those orders, and 30 candles have passed, right? So 30 candles have passed between this cell. Right now, if I measure with the crosshair, which is right here, to see how many candles have passed after the sell signal, is the first one. See, about 111 1-minute candles, sorry, 5-minute candles have passed since this sell. Okay, over here is about 24, over here is about 48, over here is about 60. So once it hits 30 candles, it basically deletes the pending order, so that if it goes up and touches it, it doesn't activate the order. I have that set on default as true, but you can turn it off. Basically what the whole idea behind it is, I don't want these candles to run in a sell direction for so long and then it goes up to trigger a sell order here, because it's invalid at this point, right? Because the candles have already done what they're gonna do. They already went. So if they've already, you know, gone and it's past 30 candles, I don't want it to come back up and trigger this sell, because this sell is kind of invalid at that point. I'm looking for a fresh signal at that point. That's why I have that. So you can either leave it on, or you can put it to false to turn it off if you don't want that feature. And this one here, basically what this does is if price is more than 30 pips away for this signal, then it shouldn't enter it. So that first main signal here, this first signal, if it's within 30 pips of my stop loss, then it shouldn't enter the trade. And that, again, I just have that as optional, so you can turn that off if you don't want that feature. But I just didn't want a situation where I enter a trade and I'm too far from my stop loss. That's why I have that. Okay, let's keep going. All right, so here, detect fib on bars. Here you can leave it alone, don't touch that. And then here is where we have the 75% and the 25% retracement. Okay, so this is based on that. So these lines may not match up exactly, but it's still measuring from the fib numbers, just based on a pullback. So for me, I like to leave this alone. I don't touch these two, but again, you can do what you want with it. Okay. All right, so here is our buy signals. Basically here, you can ignore the first set. The only thing you really want to look at is the main entry, the entry number 1, and the entry number 2, okay? Entry number 1 is the 25% pullback, which is the first line. Excuse me. And the entry number 2 is the 75% pullback, which is the second line. So basically, if you just wanted to just capture the 75% pullback, and again, I hope you're part of all the Telegram groups and you're really getting like the strategy of using the Rev Alerts, because then this video is not the purpose of this video is not to like show you like how to understand Rev Alerts and stuff like that. You should already understand like Rev Alerts, and this automation piece is just to help you do what you're already doing manually before. Okay, so just make sure that you're participating in the Telegram groups and you're understanding really how to use how to maximize the Rev Alerts. Okay, all right. So we have a main, entry 1, and entry 2. Okay, so main order is basically the signal. So as soon as the signal fires, that main order is the entry, you know, as soon as the signal fires. Entry 1 is the 25% pullback. Okay, and then entry 2 is that 75% pullback, which, you know, gives you the tightest stop loss. So if you wanted to only, for example, take entry 2, you just turn this off, main. You turn off entry 1, and then you just keep entry 2. And if I wanted to do that for sell signals as well, right? Turn that off, and I just keep entry 2 on. So that means that when the signal fires a sell or buy, it's not gonna take the order right away. It's gonna wait for the pullback, that 75% pullback, right? And then it'll take the order. Okay, in this case here, just looking at the sell, there is no pullback. And if you're waiting for the 75% pullback, in most cases, you're not going to get a situation where it does pull back to 75%. So you end up missing some orders, but that's okay, because the orders that you do enter into, the risk to reward ratio is so freaking high, right? So for example, just looking at this, if I click my fib tool here, you know, had it pull back, right? Let's say this is the entry, right? So had it pull back to the 75%, right? Then, you know, was it, let's see, was it this one? Yeah, it was this one. So had it pulled back to the 75%, then it could have gone in, and you know, and then the 50% is here. So I had to measure myself, just have the bot calculate it, right? Because I just could not get this 2 yellow lines to program. So I just had to try to get as close to the yellow lines as possible with the bot. But yeah, that is a valid pullback when you measure from the top to the bottom of the signal. This is a valid pullback for the 75% over here. Okay. All right. So what else was I saying? The risk to reward, when you capture like a 75% pullback, right? The risk to reward becomes like crazy. Okay. So if I measure here to the stop loss, like, you know what I mean? And if, let's say this had pulled back over here and activated and triggered it, look at the price, 17R, meaning if you had risk 1%, you'd have made 17%. So the risk to reward becomes pretty crazy. All right, let me delete that. All right, so moving on here. All right, so This is a time range. So for example, if you didn't want to trade between a particular time, you can just set the time here. And the way you get that time is you just put the crosshair, right? You grab the crosshair right here, and you just, at the bottom, you can see the time. All right, so if you don't want to trade between a particular time, you just basically find that time, right? Right now, by default, it's set to not trade, what is it? Is it, I think, yeah, between 4 to 6, it doesn't take any trades. So this is the default that is set on, because nothing really happens. The market doesn't really move that much between 4 to 6. But again, if you want to put it on like the one that 8-minute trader recommends, you can set the time here for that. All right, stop loss, and this, pay attention to this, right? Stop loss can be by bar or by fixed. Okay, by fixed meaning that you want it to be a particular stop loss. So for example, if the entry is here, you basically have to say, okay, I want my stop loss, let's say, to be about 55 pips. But I don't like it this way. I like it by bar, right? Because you don't know where this sell signal or buy signal is gonna come in. So if you make it by bar, right, then you can say, set my stop loss above the previous 10 bars. So what happens is that once this sell triggers, it looks at the previous 10 bars to put the stop loss above it, right? Which makes the most sense. So that's the way that I have it set by default, and I have it set 3 pips above the previous 10 bars. So what it'll do is it'll put it right here, 3 pips above the top of this. Okay. All right. So that's stop loss. If you're trading US 30 or any other indice, just make sure that you're putting this in points, right? So this might become, for example, 300, right? Because indices, the stop loss is a little bit different in setting that. So that's why I say, like, play around with this in demo first, before you go live, okay? Because, US 30 and forex, regular forex pairs are a little bit different, okay? All right, so I'll keep it 30 because this is a forex pair, okay? All right, and if you were using fixed, then you'd have to set it here, okay? But I'm using it by bar, so I just set it here and here. I like to leave it at 10, so you can leave that alone unless you want to change it. All right, so lot by percentage, so that's the default, but you can set it by money. So if you wanted to risk $10 per trade, you can just set it like that, and this is the $10 here. If you wanted to change it to 20, you could just go like that. So this and this and this matches up, okay? This has to do with this. If you set it by lot size, then basically you're saying that you're risking a particular lot size. So let's say 0.1 or 0.2 or whatever it is, okay? So this and this matches up. If you're setting by percentage, which I like to do, this is 0.25%, so not even 1%, 0.25%, which Coach Mo likes to risk, okay? You can change it to 1% if you want. You can change it to whatever you want, okay? So this and this matches up, okay? So I'll keep it at 0.25%. All right, and then risk to reward, you can either have it by fixed, so this and this, so you'd have to program it here. This is 200 pips, okay? I like to set it by risk to reward ratio, and then you can have it, default is 3, but like you can set it to whatever you want. For example, like if you're waiting for that 75% pullback and you wanted to set this to like 28 risk to reward, for example, or 20R risk to reward, you can just set it to that, meaning that you're risking, let's say, 1% to make 20%, okay? So that's how you can do that. By default it's 3, but you can again set it to whatever you want. Use move TP. What that does is, let's say that your trade was about to hit take profit. Let's say that it was 5 pips within your take profit. What it does is it'll move your take profit by 10 pips, just a little bit farther away. But honestly, you don't have to use this. I normally just keep it false, so you don't have to use this move take profit, okay? In fact, none of these settings you really have to move. Trailing stop is trailing stop, okay? It trails your trade so that it secures some profit. So if you don't know what trailing stop is, please read about it. That's trailing stop. And then break even is similar. If the trade is 32 pips, for example, in profit, it'll move your stop loss to 1 pip just to secure your profit. So if you want to use that, you can set that to true. If not, you can set it to false. Okay. So that's just break even, and trailing stop really is the only two that I'd use from here. You don't really need to use move TP. Okay. This part, risk and martingale, don't use it, guys. Martingale is risky, so I wouldn't advise you to use this part. Okay, don't use it. All right, so that's pretty much the settings here. Yeah, that's pretty much the settings here. So once you have, let's say I wanted to activate it, I just click on OK after setting all this, and then boom, you have this here. Okay, so this is pretty much it here. And once it basically sees another alert, it'll take the trade automatically. I don't have to manually take this trade anymore. The EA, the bot called the automator, will take this trade for me automatically. You know, and I know 8-minute traders coming out with a one-click trade, but for me this is even better, right? Because I don't even have to click. I could be sleeping and I could be taking trades, right? So once you discover like your system of Rev Alerts that's working for you, you just use the automator to help you, you know, automate that, right? To even make it even better. Okay, so if you have any questions, you can reach out to me, but this is pretty much the way that you would set this on a chart. And the good thing is, once I have this set, I can save it. So I could go save template and save this as Rev Alert automation. And if I wanted to load it on another chart, I would just basically click here, open another chart. Let's say pound JPY or Euro AUD, for example, and all I gotta do is go to the time frame that I want. So let's say 5 minutes, and I would just switch this on to Rev Alert automation, and boom, that's it. It's already set. See? So that's how quickly you can do it. Once you have set it the first time, you don't really have to do the whole thing all over again. You can just literally turn it on another chart. Okay, and if you wanted to tweak the settings on this chart, you just right click and you go to expert advisors, properties, and then you can tweak any setting you want, and then you click OK. That's how you do it, guys. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. God bless. Take care. Bye.